Well, hey guys, this is Chip back with you from the Expanded Pan Trap Line. Well, usually it's the Expanded Pan Trap Line, but this time it's actually Thanksgiving Day, and it is a time-honored tradition with my family that we always go deer hunting on Thanksgiving Day. And the guy you're looking here at right here is Kay. Tell people, hey, Kay. Yep. Don't get like overexcited or anything. And Kay actually shot a little buck today, and we got him hanging up right here. And nice little 8-point first buck we've shot on the place. We've actually only shot one buck and one doe. Who shot both of those? Yeah. Don't you think you may ought to share a little bit? All right, well guys, we're going to tie this a little bit back into trapping. Many of you may have seen Kay, my son, at our Expanded Pan booth at some of the shows that we go to. And he was with me at Southeast Regional in Crossville, Tennessee this past fall. And it was right before your birthday. And tell us what you saw on the table when Mr. Tim came by and we shared the table with him, and kind of what you was hoping for your birthday.
Well, I've been out of pocket for a knife, or not lost, couldn't find mine for a while. Then bought one from the first show. So this show, that knife was getting dull, so I was in need of a new knife. So then, whenever Mr. Tim Roper came over there, he had on all the meat trapper skinners. Mm-hmm. I immediately took a liking to the Desert Ironwood knife. Mm-hmm.
But you didn't quite have enough money to buy one though, right? So what happened then? The knife that you told me in the camper that night that you really liked, that Desert Ironwood handle meat trapper skinner, but you just didn't quite think you had enough of what you were going to make from the show to buy it. So the next day, what happened to that Desert Ironwood knife?
It disappeared into his pocket.
And then a couple of weeks later, at your birthday, you opened a box.
A couple days later.
A couple of days later, that's right. And what happened then when you opened your box?
I opened it and then that came out.
All right, so this is the meat trapper skinner. This is John Harms. This is Kay's knife, and yeah, there we go. Got a good picture of it here. And so what we wanted to do for you guys right now is talk a little bit about how we're going to take this deer apart really quick. We're just going to field dress this deer. Warning: there's going to be blood and there's going to be guts, because this is kind of what we do. We got to get the entrails out of this deer real quick. He's going to make some fine eating, but we need to get him cooled off as quickly as we can and drop the insides out of him. So if blood and guts bother you, then you may want, this may not be the video for you. You may want to pause it and come back later. But as I go through this, it's going to kind of be a little bit of a tutorial and also a little bit of a review for this meat trapper skinner, because this will be the first time that we've actually had a chance to use it. So we're going to swap over. I'm going to let Kay do the filming, and I'm going to take the knife, and here we go. One thing I like about this knife a lot already is how it fits in your hand. The ergonomic handle is superior design. It just feels so natural as I hold it here. It just grips right in the palm of my hand. My fingers just wrap right around it. The belly part, the fat part of this handle, it's just a natural feeling here. I think Mark Hatchett from over in Alabama actually makes these knives. These are custom, one of a kind, out of 5100 ball bearing steel. These are hand forged and handmade. Every meat trapper skinner is slightly different. One thing that I remember meat trapper saying is that the micardia sheaths that these things come from, Kay's wearing a neck sheath, they happen to be handmade for each individual knife, because they're all individually made and how they fit in there. So no two sheaths will fit exactly the same. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I love the way it feels. Something else I like about this knife, if you notice where the point of the knife is, it's on the it's basically midpoint. I think they've got a term for that. I think it's a drop point, but then the belly of the knife comes down lower. It's going to work real handy here in just a second. I can puncture and then make my cuts here, but as I go down, and I'll demonstrate this here in just a second, I won't necessarily penetrate the guts, because this part, the dull part, the flat part of the knife, is below the tip is below that. You see how the slant is, so that's going to be important. So as I start, and we noticed this on Kay's deer, he's actually bobtail. I shot tons, hundreds of whitetails, and this may be the first bobtail deer that I've seen. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go right around the vent, and get this opening made. And boy, this thing is sharp. I'm already impressed. Here again, this is the first time that we've used these knives. I've heard lots about them, and I've heard lots of reviews from other guys that have used them. I've heard nothing but just superior remarks about these knives and how they work, and it's certainly already demonstrating. Now, what I like to do is I'll take cut that circle out around the vent, and I go all the way around. It's basically hugging the pelvic bone as much as I can. And about the length of this knife is actually just about right, because you don't want to get too far. You could rupture the bladder, and nobody wants deer pee on their deer meat. So once that's done, I can tuck that back in there. I'm going to show you the inside of that here in a second when I pull that back through. And I'm going to come back around, and I'm going to start dismantling this deer. I'm going to grab my bucket and get over here and get a little bit ready. I may have to adjust the height here in just a second. That may be close, but so we're going to start right here. And I'm going to start making my initial cuts here. And all I want to do on the very first cut is I just want to basically unzip this deer. Here again, this is where I was telling you that with that point being dropped really helps a little bit. I'm being real careful here because I'm on guts, but I don't want to puncture this, but it makes it so simple with this knife because it's designed for that. When I get to this part, I can just run him just like a zipper. Look at how sharp this thing is. I mean, I'm just literally just unzipping him all the way down. And this buck is not quite big enough to mount, so we are actually going to go all the way down. I'm not concerned about the cape, and we're going to go way down on his throat. This will help at the very last stage of the field dressing part, and I prefer to do mine hanging up. You can do the same thing with the deer laying down actually in the field. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and I'm going to find where the sternum is. The sternum is the breastbone, and then right behind there, that breastbone, you'll see my thumb just kind of fall off, and there'll be what's actually called a xiphoid process. It's a little piece of cartilage that sticks down, and I can find where it comes off. Right behind that xiphoid process is still guts, it's still stomach. But here right on the bone itself, on the sternum bone at the end, that's where the ribs start. So I'm going to get off on the side, and I'm going to slice right down where I want to do. I want to be finding where my rib bones are meeting my sternum. And this is the most challenging part of field dressing. And there's some guys that split straight down the sternum. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. What I do is I'll try to find where it's got to kind of reach in and find one. And I want to find where, give me just a second, where the rib bones are actually intersecting the sternum. And this is going to take me just a second. You can hear the sucking chest wound right there. And once I get one popped apart, you will, this can be bloody. And this is going to be a little nasty, guys. And I'm just basically separating the ribs from the sternum bone itself. I'm inside the chest cavity. This deer's chest cavity is going to be absolute mush because K's 308 wreaked havoc on it. Once that part is done, I want to make sure that I made it all the way through. Here again, you got to be real careful because this is guts right behind here. I want to make sure I got all the ribs, and I did right there. Or did I miss one? I may have actually missed the top rib. And this is where you want to be careful because right behind that rib is actually guts. There we go, just like that. And I actually got it. I was trying to tell you what not to do, and I actually did. But that was the top rib, but no fear because that stomach contents is not going to get on my meat. Once that stops leaking a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and start with my top cut. Usually no guts right behind there. Just kind of keep the camera up here. And I'm going to zip, use the design of the knife again, and I'm going to zip right back down through here again. I like to keep 2 fingers there. It actually helps in not puncturing the rest of these guts. These are what you really want to be careful with up here. The stomach content that I actually busted was right there, but that no longer matters because I now folded over. Now, this is where I was telling you earlier what I like to do. You can't see in here, but there's the bladder, and I can reach right behind here because I came down with my knife earlier, and I reach behind the bladder, and I can bring this out. I like to go just make some small cuts. Now you got some really sweet meat right here, what I call inside tenders. You don't want to cut that but outside there you can stay right on top of it, and it just slices right over. I want to come back around. I'm going to verbalize a lot of this because I know it's dark inside this chest cavity. I'm going to come all the way down until I hit the diaphragm. This, boy, I love this knife. It is just so handy in my hand. It's just like an extension of your fingers. And so there's the diaphragm. I'm coming right out of there, just keeping pressure on my pile here, lining it up with my bucket, and I'm dropping straight on out of there. Got to finish the diaphragm on each side, and then everything should drop straight into the bucket there. After that point, I am all the way down. I told you there's a reason that I cut so far down, and that's because of right here. I can come all the way to the esophagus, and this just has to do with dripping the deer clean, and I get all the way down as far as I can go, and I can slice that. This meat trapper Skinner does not even know it's been through a deer yet. Everything is clean. Boy, you went right through the rib cage on that. Absolutely smushed him. Made a great shot. 2 thumbs up for the Skinner, guys. This is an awesome little skinning knife. I love it. I'm gonna have to get me one myself where I don't have to borrow yours, Kay. But that's a great job, meat trapper, on the design of that knife. Went right through this deer, and so that is my review. I am highly, highly, highly impressed. The whole process, and I was going slow talking and explaining the whole entire process here, but it only usually takes 3 or 4 or 5 minutes to field dress a deer, especially hanging it up like this. And sorry for a little boo-boo, we're gonna get the water hose and wash all this down clean, and all the good cuts of the meat, the back straps, hindquarters, the inside tenders, the shoulders, no issues whatsoever. I love the knife. The knife did super good, and it is sharp enough. I don't even feel like it dulled any at all. It's sharp enough. I believe this would handle another 2 or 3 deer. So there you go, guys. That's a review on the Meat Trapper Skinner. A great little knife. I'm in love with it. Like I said, they are sleek. They are a great tool if you're a deer hunter or undressing any type of animal at all, from beaver to to our fur that we're skinning. These are great knives and extremely functional. Okay, guys. Well, until I see you next time, remember what I say: the smart trapper is always learning.